Man, oh man, Martin Truex just kicked our teeth in.
That guy knows how to stink up a show.
Yeah. What do you think Jeff Cluck's, was it a good race poll it's going to come out at? Oh, hold on. I'll write down my answer right here.
All right. I think you want me a specific number, right? Like one number. No, I can't give you a range.
No, a range? No.
I think it's, all right, I'm going to go 73%.
I have 61%. 61%. Again, Martin Truex victories usually aren't very exciting ones because when he wins big. He's a 10-run baseball game. He's a 3-touchdown football game. Just, I mean, it was right from the first lap of practice. He just had the field covered.
Why is that?
He's really, really good. Really good. And when they hit on it, I mean, we know what they have in their car, right? I mean, we drive differently. So, it's very hard to just cut and paste and say, well, surely if I ran exactly what he did, I'd have the same result. I wouldn't, first of all. But man, they just, I don't know. It's like when he has speed in practice, you can just count on him leading 200 laps wherever we're at. Like, it's just when they unload fast, they're fast the whole weekend. And I really can't tell you why that when they win it's so dominating, but it is, right? Like there's not many like he wins on the last, late race restart. Like
there's just not another driver where you get that impression from, right? That this guy when he wins, he dominates. So it's interesting.
Yeah, it's a great point, and if I knew the answer, then I'd do it. But I mean, we'll digest in this weekend. On the 11 car, we just weren't fast. I couldn't run a fast lap in practice. I couldn't run a fast lap in qualifying, and I certainly struggled on restarts, which is your fast laps today. So I don't know. It's just very frustrating for sure. I was losing my mind in there. I was really loose at one time. And Chris, I thought he was, I'd complained enough where I thought he was going to go ahead and blow up on me and just tell me shut the up and drive. But he didn't. He was a nice guy. He was like, I got you. Just keep giving me your best here. Like, he was very patient with me when he knew I was on tilt. So yeah, I mean, I thought that we had a good car in the long run, but I don't know. We just got off there somewhere, and I didn't do a very good job either executing, overdriving corners left and right, getting hung on seams left and right. I just couldn't. Like you hang your right front or right rear on a seam at that track. The seams, I bet you, are an inch wide gap. So when we run our tire over those seams, so you see it in the racetrack, each lane, right? And those seams are broken apart, and they keep getting wider. So when you run across it, if you don't cross those seams really, really quickly, you'll get hung on it, and your car will just follow that line. So it's like half a second of time, which is a ton in that type of racetrack. That the difference between executing, running the right line and a good lap, and being like I was.
How much passing takes place because a guy does that?
That's most of it, especially at the end of the race. I noticed on those late race restarts where I got a few spots back, it was because someone hung a tire in the seam. If you saw it, you can't really see it on TV, but if you look really closely, those seams are really wide and they're not filled in with anything. So that's just contact patch that your tire is not having with the asphalt surface. So again, you got to cross them really, really quickly to the right and to the left, or you got to stay in that lane throughout the whole corner.
Is that what makes certain drivers better at this track than others?
Well, the 19 didn't look like he hit many seams. I mean, there's no question he did, but he was probably so far out front that myself, I couldn't see him, and B, TV probably had other battles to watch during that time. But yeah, it happens to everybody. Literally, if you're just a little tight and you're like, oh boy, and then bam, it catches it, and it just takes your car hard right. So it's very, very difficult. And a lot of times that you see the mistakes in qualifying is because of that.
What is it about that inside line on restarts that just
not good.
Never takes off?
It's really weird. So that usually is the case on tracks where the track is the surface is coarse. And on the straightaways, the track is actually pretty coarse. In the corners, it's not. It's pretty smooth. It's why tires don't wear out that much. But on the straightaway where we take off, where the front two cars take off, you see it's much lighter asphalt. Well, it's also a lot more coarse, so it's got a lot of rocks in that. So the person so if two cars were to take off, right, it's the person who is the leader, he knows when he's going, right? He's got it in his head. He knows how much throttle he's going to apply to keep the tires from spinning. Well, the second guy, you have to be reactive. So when you see the first car start to lunge, what do? Immediately your reaction is to hit the gas really quick. Well, then it causes the rear tires to spin, and you're sideways, and you're holding the whole inside lane up. So if they took off the exact same time, I guarantee you that the grip is this exact same. There is no advantage for one lane or the other. The advantage is who takes off first. And the other guy, when he has to react to the leader taking off, he typically spins his tires because he's applying too much throttle.
Okay. So, but you just saw it because the guy on the bottom, whether you were the guy starting second or the guy starting fourth or sixth, you are at such a disadvantage taking off because the leader, by the time you hit turn one, he's
gone, and then it's
and everyone's
the guy
stacked up in the bottom.
Fourth, right? Yep. The guy on fourth, he's usually beside the inside car. So, yeah, that's why the outside lane is typically pretty preferred there, and why you saw the leaders taking the outside every time.
We got to give flowers to Stuart Haas Racing, who showed up today.
Yeah. Those guys, man, I don't know who runs Stuart Haas's social media, but, man, they get just dragged through the mud with every social post that they just – poor guys. But, yeah, they deserve their due this week. Eric Almirola was running great. I wrote down there's a lot of loose wheels. The 20, the 42, the 10, all with – well, the 20 was able to come in because he felt it under the caution. The 42 and 10, I mean, holy moly. The 42, he just can't stop hitting stuff. Poor Noah has had a horrendous year. That's the only word you can use to explain it. Their cars obviously have been off, and it's really hard to show up to the racetrack every week when you know that your cars don't have the speed, and then with the mechanical failures and blowing rotors and stuff like he had at Gateway, and tires falling off here. It's just tough year for Noah, and I'm sure he's looking forward to next year for sure.
Yeah, Harvick with a top 5 finish, Chase Briscoe with a top 10 finish, as we mentioned. Eric Almirola was up front for a good part of the day, and then
I'm surprised we didn't see Preece.
Well, we had some drama on pit road after the race between Ryan Preece and Michael McDowell.
I mean, that's such a loose word. Really, drama over two guys talking.
It was drama. Was it Travis? Was it drama?
It was not drama. They had a conversation.
I think when
grasping at straws here.
I think when the level is so low for the race that we can call it drama.
Thanks a lot, Truex.
Right.
All right, let's talk about the fight on pit road. Did you see Michael McDowell touch the back of Preece and him turn around and say, "No, don't touch me"?
Yeah, I did. It was drama.
Yeah. They got it worked out, it appears, but I didn't see what happened. I tried to find it. I saw a little bit of it, but it looked like McDowell just went in there and kind of cleaned them out a little bit and ran them up the racetrack, and they both ended up way up the track.
All right, well, if that's not drama, as a teammate of Martin Truex Jr., is it your responsibility to not wreck yourself with a handful of laps to go to bring out another caution?
Yes, it is. Yeah, that it seemed like people would talk about that more years ago, but yeah, certainly it's the only way they were going to lose the race, right? Is something crazy happen. And so certainly you don't want to be the reason that a caution comes, because if you bring out a caution and now you got a bad finish for your team, and then the guy who was leading doesn't win either, like it's a double whammy for Joe Gibbs Racing. So yeah, certainly once it gets strung out, like, and you're within 5 laps to go, 10 laps to go, it's like, okay, what are we going to get here? Can I get the next guy or not? Do I have any threat behind? Yes or no? Like, at that point, you're just trying to keep your 4 tires on the asphalt heading in the right direction.
Yeah, a bad day for Christopher Bell to start on the pole, have such a good car, not execute early, and then.
Did he have such a good car though?
I think going into the race, the chatter was this is Christopher Bell or Martin Truex Jr.'s race to lose.
Yeah, I thought so too, but I don't know. He passed me twice. I thought he had a good car. There was times I certainly thought, man, he's got a ton of speed, but I mean, it certainly wasn't the speed of the 19. Nothing I saw told me that he could run with the 19. That's for sure. But maybe the second best. Yeah. You could probably give him that. Certainly it's tough when you go out there and you test like he did there. You sit on the pole. Certainly your expectations is to go win the race, but you know, when you end up crashing, especially late in the race, that's the worst, because you've run well all day and you just don't get the finish for it. But one person that who had the roughest weekend was Kyle Busch, clearly, right?
To wreck in practice and then wreck again in the race.
That's called the trifecta. Practice, qualifying, and race.
He wrecked in practice?
Yeah. You didn't see him hit the wall for
that was
2?
a backup car he was in, correct?
No, they fixed it.
After qualifying.
Yeah.
But in practice, he tank slapped it off of turn 2 pretty well. And so they had some damage they were fixing the last half of practice. But he laid down such a good lap in qualifying. His first round, he made it in just good enough to back that some in the second round and have to go to the back. So he said he fought rear grip all weekend, didn't have any of it, and yeah, they had a rough week.
I will say that people's dislike for Kyle Busch is still just as strong as it's ever been, because during qualifying, this stands had to have been 10%, 20% full, and when he backed that thing into the corner, everyone was cheering. It sounded like
were they cheering full. Or were they like, oh?
I think it was somewhere between oh and woo. Somewhere between that. It wasn't like oh.
No, I think because Kyle has switched teams and manufacturers, the approval rating has gone
I agree. The reaction was loud.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't see many wrecks really during qualifying anymore. So, you know, the cars were that squirrely for sure. I mean, I was thinking when we went there that, oh man, Goodyear said they brought a tire that's got more grip, so we're going to be faster on the short run, we're going to be slower in the long run. And it was like, oh man, I can't touch the gas from lap 1. Like, it just sideways. And really, the more laps I ran, the better it got. So